Welcome to another edition of the KREF High School Huddle on our KREF YouTube page. Be sure to subscribe and also make sure that you stay tuned for all of our events that are on krefsports.tv. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter and on Facebook, where we post daily updates to what we will be covering throughout the week. That is Connor Pasby. I'm Grayson Singleton. And let's start with recapping the past weekend. We've got action from last night. Coming up on today's show, Southmore and Norman North went at it for the top of District 6A1, and the Bixby girls stay unbeaten in district play. We'll get to all of that. But first, the best thing that we saw this weekend happened at a swim meet that we actually aired. The first time we aired a swim meet on krefsports.tv, and it sounded like this.
Thuman turning at 75.
You can really see that these underwaters are efficient and mechanical. I mean, on every single one, he's gone out to the yellow mark.
49.77.
It looks like that's going to be about a 2-second time drop for him as well.
A new COAC record right there. You just saw it from J.D. Thuman, 49.77. It bests the previous mark set in 2016 by Cade Knock. It's all Mr. Thuman's now. 49.77, a COAC record.
Norman's J.D. Thuman set the COAC 100-meter backstroke record at 49.77 seconds. Connor, I'm not that much of a swimmer. I'm not very good at it. 49.77 in a 100-meter backstroke. That sounds like a pretty darn cool accomplishment.
Yeah, really impressive, and it's always cool to see a kid like J.D. Thuman do this at the COAC meet when you're facing off against other teams that we cover here. So that's really awesome to see from J.D. Thuman to set that record in front of his teammates, in front of his coaches. So a great moment for him and his family for sure.
Yeah, congratulations to J.D. on setting the COAC 100-meter backstroke record. To the tournaments that we had this weekend, because we had quite a few of them, let's start at Deer Creek, where the Antlers were going for a third consecutive Bruce Gray tournament champion in the tournament that they host at their place, and they did just that. Plus, Blake Gamble, who was there for most of the weekend, had this positive thing to say about the team that the Antlers beat in the championship game. 52-41. Under 10 seconds, Martinez. Garcia knocks down another three, but that'll do it. 52-44. The Antlers are champions of the Bruce Gray Invitational for the third consecutive year, and they win a tournament for the second time in 3 weeks.
I like defending good players, like getting a good challenge. You know, when they're battling me, they're getting tough buckets on me. That's what I like. I like that challenge. You know, I like to. It fuels me. It gets me going. I like, fires me up.
Mason Smith comes back after his long layoff. Phoenix Woodson's finally healthy. Your team now just seems healthy and whole now. Are y'all starting to feel that momentum and starting to feel like everything's coming together at just the right time?
Yeah. Smith is a huge piece for our team. He brings so much energy for us. So, yeah, him being back is huge. Phoenix coming back, getting healthy. We're going to be scary when we're healthy.
You guys have won 3 in a row Bruce Gray Tournament championships now. What does this tournament and hosting it mean to you guys?
Home court. We take this tournament. We just come out and handle business, really. We don't do too much special. Come out, watch film on everyone, take everyone serious, just handle business.
The most impressive thing I saw this weekend at the Bruce Gray Tournament were 2 standout players for the Crooked Oak Roughnecks. First, a junior, Jamel Morris. He had over 30 points in their semifinal win against the Putnam City West Patriots and followed it up with several highlight plays, including a monstrous dunk versus the Deer Creek Antlers, where the Crooked Oak fell to a slight margin. Also, in that game, senior Elijah Garcia had 24 points. He was the game's leading scorer, where he started off with 6 straight made three-pointers.
So let's break down Deer Creek here for a second. So we mentioned District 6A1. Norman North and Southmore battled it out at the top last night. Southmore won that game. We'll talk about that in a minute. So they're 1 right now in the district. Deer Creek moves up to 2 regardless of the result because of the game difference. How about the Antlers winning a third consecutive Bruce Gray tournament, and now they go back into district play when they take on UConn on Friday night?
Yeah, Grace, another team at the boys basketball that's just getting hot right now, winning the Bruce Gray tournament and coming off an impressive win. Again, they're a fun team to watch. They're getting healthy, getting their playmakers back on the floor, and really they flow together offensively, and they've been really fun to watch this year. So the Deer Creek Antlers making a good point right now, late in the year, climbing up the district rankings.
Yeah, and they've lost to Norman North and to Southmore both on last-second shots. They do play them again, but those two also have to play each other again because they played last night and they've got one more, plus there's still 5 more district games to go. Deer Creek sitting pretty in the 6A District 1 standings. You mentioned it. I mentioned it during the broadcast that I was on this weekend. The story of the Antlers right now is they're getting their guys healthy. Phoenix Woodson missed a couple of games. Mason Smith finally came back from a months-long battle with a hamstring injury. So they're getting their guys back at the right time. And Cooper, in that interview I did with him, talked about how they are going to be a team that is scary once they get all healthy and right. I want to mention Piedmont. Deer Creek beat Piedmont in the semifinal game. Piedmont came back and beat PC West in the third-place game, and they did so without a Herculean game from Hudson Height, who we talked about last week, coming off a huge game on a week ago from Tuesday. And this Piedmont team continues to impress me because Bryce McCall, their big, had a really, really good tournament.
Yeah, he's another big piece, and Hudson High gets a lot of credit for what they do on the offensive end, but they're getting more help from their starters that can score the basketball. And we mentioned so many teams that are playing hot, playing great basketball toward the end of the season, and the Piedmont Wildcats are up there. We talked about last week their win over PC North and, of course, what they did in the Bruce Gray tournament. So really impressive what the Wildcats are doing right now at the 6A level, Grayson.
Yeah, no doubt. They get third at the Bruce Gray tournament. They have now won 6 of their last 7. The loss to Deer Creek snapped a 5-game losing streak, but the Wildcats, after starting 3-6, in a really, really good spot heading down the stretch of January. To the tournament you were at the John Nobles tournament this weekend up in Moore. Millwood won it on the guys' side of things. Anything you want to say about that team? Because that's the number 1 team in 3A. They defeated Moore.
Yeah, going into that game, going to the championship game when they were taking on Moore, I mean, it felt like Moore had the better end because of the way the Lions have been playing, but really Millwood dominated that game from the get-go. They controlled it, and, man, they're so aggressive on the offensive glass, have so many playmakers, and Van Buren, who is the MVP in the John Nobles tournament, 6'4", 6'5", really stout kid underneath the basket, and he was really fun to watch. It was really impressive to see him for the first time this year. But, yeah, and they defeated Southmore in the game before, so really impressive run by Millwood in that tournament.
On the girls' side of things, we want to focus on this. By the way, Crooked Oak, the team that Deer Creek beat to win the Bruce Gray Tournament Championship, is the number 2 team in 3A. Their only loss this season to Millwood.
Yeah.
On the girls' side of things, Bixby's girls won the John Nobles Tournament, and here's how it sounded.
Watkins off balance, only found glass. Bixby has won it at the 50th John Noble Tournament. 55-45, it's the Spartans that reign supreme over Norman North.
Yeah, we knew her best kid could obviously stroke it from 3, and so we wanted anything that she got off to be a tough look. And then some of their other ones, they can make a shot here or there from the 3-point line. And so that was kind of a key of ours. Nice shoot around the day, something that we talked about, so yes.
And Kate, how good did it feel to knock down some 3-pointers early? Because, man, you really caught fire in the second half.
It gave me a lot of confidence, but my teammates were moving the ball really well, and we played as a team really well.
All right, let's talk about Bixby. So you and I have seen Bixby multiple times throughout the season. We were up there for the tournament. They were 15-2 going into a game yesterday that we'll talk about in just a moment. They're now 16-2 after their win over Owasso, but gotta love this Bixby girls team as they are in a really, really good spot, controlling their own destiny, even with a little bit of a cushion in their district now.
Well, it's their offense, Grayson. It starts with Kate Wernley, the 3-point shooting from her, and she's another player that can drive to the basket. Courtney Wright, Music. So another team that's got plenty of options on the floor to go to. They need to clean up their turnovers a little bit, but, man, they were clicking from the 3-point line in that John Nobles tournament, and that was a big part of the reason why why they ended up winning, because they kept knocking down 3 after 3 on their offensive possessions.
You know, when I watch this team, I see one of the better starting fives in all of Oklahoma 6A. They're very versatile defensively. They have 5 girls that can guard all 5 positions, so they're very switchable. You can't really pick out a mismatch unless you find somebody who has a distinct height advantage over them. Offensively, they share the ball great. They kick it, drive, kick, engage 2, kick, open shots. The amount of open shots they got in that game against Norman North was very, very pleasant to watch from an aesthetical offensive perspective. And then they make the extra. The only thing to me that gets in their way, yes, you talked about the turnovers. They get a little bit 3-point happy in stretches of games. So if they're knocking them down, fantastic. But, you know,
it doesn't matter if they're knocking it down.
but if you're missing, 6, 7 in a row, that's how you can keep a team in the game or even bring a team back into the game. So if they can avoid getting 3-point happy and going through those dry spells from beyond the arc, I mean, this is a really good team. And they are undefeated in their district right now. I think one of only 2 teams in 6A for the girls' side, them and Putnam City North, that are undefeated. By the way, Putnam City North, a 1-game lead over Norman in that district, and they still have one more game to go.
Grayson Bigsby is really well coached with Riley Littlejohn.
Oh, she's done a fantastic job.
Offense gets a lot of credit, but you mentioned what they do defensively. They switch it up from a zone to a man, so they give opposing teams different looks. And, yeah, they turn the ball over, but they also force a lot of turnovers.
No, they do, and their offense gets started on their defense. In that game against Norman North in the championship game at the John Noble tournament, they got rebounds and got out and ran, and that's how they get those open shots and really show their versatilities. That's a good point by you. Also at the John Nobles tournament, I wanted to bring this up. We had a more war for third place. Southmore and Westmore for third at the John Nobles tournament. Colton Brammer was the story with 31 points leading the way for Southmore in the victory. Grant Barnard fouled out for Westmore in that game, but Brammer only 3 3-pointers in a 31-point game. That was a fun one.
That was, yeah. Brammer is a guy that can create his own shot. They got Tyson Pogai as well. We know how electric he is with the ball in his hands, whether that's shooting from deep or driving to the basket. So Southmore playing great basketball right now. Fun to get a rivalry game in that John Nobles tournament. But SaberCats, another team on a roll right now, and they're playing hot.
And I like both of those teams, too. Westmore, a team that's led by the Barnard twins. Both can shoot very well from the outside. And then they've got defenders around them, an athletic team. But Southmore, that's a scrappy bunch, man. That's a really scrappy team that plays hard, shares the ball. A lot of guys that can go up and get their own shot and contribute anytime that they're called upon.
And they're able to protect the glass, too. They're able to be tough inside. They have some size. We know the guard play that they have, but they got some athleticism underneath the basket, too.
No doubt. All right, let's go to Tuesday's action as we just recap the tournaments from the past weekend. Again, our teams, Deer Creek defeating Crooked Oak to win the Bruce Gray tournament. Bixby wins the girls' John Nobles tournament, and then Southmore takes third. Speaking of Southmore and Westmore, Southmore played again last night. They had a big-time district matchup. It was 1 versus 2, 6A District 1. Southmore and Norman North went down to the wire, and it was a Southmore 4-point win at the end to take over first place in the district. Deer Creek, because in the loss column, jumps up to number 2, and Norman North goes down to number 3. Norman North and Southmore, scrappy game, 56-52. Any takeaways from that, having seen both of these teams?
Well, we knew going into that game on Tuesday that it was going to be a great matchup. And Southmore, man, we talk about the tough schedule that they have this last week or so, and they've done a great job with that. And they were able to take down Norman North in a very close game last night, able to protect their home court and grab another win. So those are 2 teams that are pretty familiar with each other. They have great size underneath, and they have guys that can score the basketball. They play well on the defensive end. So great win for Southmore last night.
I loved the way Southmore played out the last 2 minutes of that game, especially defensively. And the last possession when Southmore was up by 4, and then you knew Norman North had to go quick. You show the pressure, you back off, make Norman North have to jog the ball up the court to take up time. And then Josiah Thomas makes the layup to cut it to 2, but no time left on the clock. So I think their clock management, they won by 2, by the way. Excuse me, not 4. But the time management, the way that they coached the end of that game was very, very impressive. To the Norman North point, That's a long team. They've got a lot of length on that team. They scrap it up defensively, and they're going to be a tough team to win as long as they continue to make shots. But Southmore, you talk about a resurrection coming out of nowhere to be really, really good this year. That's been a very, very fun team to watch. And again, those three teams at the top of 6A1, Southmore, Norman North, Deer Creek, all have tussles against each other left.
Well, and going back to that point, Grace, the new addition of Tyson Pogai makes a huge difference for Southmore. When they had great scoring last year, but when you add a guy like that can give you 15 or 20, man, that just gives you a lot more for what you can do offensively and gives you another option to go to down the stretch when you need a big bucket.
And you talk about Southmore's addition of Tyson Pogai. You had Moore, who brought over Roman Miller, and what he's meant to that team. Those two teams have been really, really fun. I mean, at some point we may have a conversation which transfer had the biggest impact on his new team once the season is all said and done.
No, really, yeah. You've had so many transfers that have come in and really haven't missed a beat. They made an impact right away. It took Roman Miller a little bit early on in the season, but, man, he eventually started to figure out him and Hankins on the floor together for the Lions, two guys that can one-on-one game, can create their own shot and play at a high level.
And Deer Creek brought in two transfers as well that has really helped the Antlers. So that district should be a fun one going down to the wire. Again, only the top two teams in each district host in the regional. That is what is on the line. Let's go to a game you were at last night. Bixby's girls are now 16-2 on the season. They remain unbeaten in district play with a 12-point win over the Rams of Owasso. And we talked about Bixby as it pertained to the John Nobles tournament earlier on at the top of our show. What did you see last night from them, including a third-quarter buzzer beater? Nice call by you, by the way.
Yeah, third-quarter buzzer beater, and really, yeah, the offense from the get-go for the Spartans. They built a huge lead in the first quarter. They continued that on till halftime. But, again, it was Amariah Music, just different options to go to for them. Kate Wernley had another good night for them, and they forced tons of turnovers. Owasso could not take care of the basketball early on in that game, and that's what led to a big lead for the Spartans, and they were able to control it and hold on for a big win at the district. Those two teams were at the top of the District 3, them and Owasso on the girls' side.
Yeah, and now Bixby, again, has built itself a little bit of a cushion with which to work. Obviously, they don't want to let their foot off the gas, but undefeated, now you do have a little bit of a margin for error heading into the postseason. So it seems like KREFsports.tv will be up in Bixby for the girls' region.
Well, and the boys' game after that, Grace.
I was just about to go to that. Go ahead.
Montanati, got to see him for the first time for Owasso, and, man, this kid is 6'7", really long, can get to the basket, can shoot over anyone. So it was really impressive to watch Owasso and the size that they have. Had another guy 6'11" that was knocking down threes, really athletic as well. So Owasso, man, is the team to beat. They had that tournament at the beginning of the year where they were able to take down some of the top teams in the nation that we saw. So, man, Owasso and really Broken Arrow at the top of the 6A level is going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, that's 6A state bracket, that final 8. That's going to be a very intriguing draw for whoever gets into that. So there's your basketball recap from the last few days. I want to end the show with this because this was the first time on KREFsports.tv that we did a swim meet. And I want to shout out to Josh Helmer and Perry Spencer and all of those people who were there for that 5-hour meet. It was fantastic. We played the clip at the beginning of the show when J.D. Thuman from Norman breaks the 100-meter backstroke record with a 49.77 time. And we want to thank you as well. 3,000 viewers of the COAC Swim Meet from Mitch Park that we were able to stream. Edmond North took the boys' championship and the girls' championship, sweeping things again in the pool. So big thanks to all of you. Big thanks to our crew that was there that put on a quality broadcast, and it was fantastic. We look forward to doing it more times in the future. All right, that'll do it for this week's edition of the KREF High School Huddle. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook for all of our coverage for Thursday and Friday and going on into next week. And, of course, we look forward to all of our postseason coverage for basketball and wrestling and as we continue into baseball and soccer season. He's Connor Pasby. I'm Grayson Singleton. Y'all have a good day, everybody. Peace.